What do we possibly need to ride to Alaska? Guys, welcome back to another episode of Moto Stories with Unkie Phil, and today I've got John McElfresh with me. Hey! And as you can tell by the amount of liquor we have left in our cups, this might be energetic. Let's just say it that way. So we know the way we get, and you guys, if you've been watching, well, they know the way we get too. So what I want to talk about is there will be a time in your motorcycle life where somebody says to you, we should take a really long trip. Have you ever taken a long trip?
I've taken some long trips, never like one where I had to actually, drive a day, camp, drive a day, camp. I'm just not really into that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm like, well, I'll load my bike up and I'll drive out there and I'll ride around there and then I'll come back,
Yeah.
I've kind of wanted to, maybe like this summer was supposed to be, but then COVID happened.
Right.
I had 3 weeks of vacation. I was maybe thinking of doing the Moto journey.
Oh, yeah.
But it just didn't happen, and I don't think it's going to. Not this summer.
There was a point in my life where I thought, I've got 4 weeks of vacation saved up, and a couple of my buddies, you guys might not know, but many, many years ago, I used to be a police officer. And I had a buddy there that was really into the idea. He's like, you know what we should do? We should take our motorcycles and we should go to Alaska. And there will be a point in your life where somebody's gonna walk up to you and say something about, you should go to Alaska. Now, when that happens, my recommendation is to hit them right here. Okay, just take them down. Take them right out. You get them just right, their knees will buckle, and then you won't have to deal with it.
But somehow, at that point in your life,
I didn't do that.
It resonated with you.
I thought it'd be fun.
Like, you know what?
Yeah. So I thought it'd be a good idea.
How old were you when you did that?
I was 23.
Well, that explains a lot.
Because when you're 23, you'll do goddamn near anything. So when you're 23, you'll do anything. And at the time, I had a 1987 Honda Interceptor, a VFR 700, if you will, in blue with occasional not blue highlights.
Okay.
And these bikes are magic. If you're not a motorcycle guy, trust me. But if you are a motorcycle guy, you know that Honda Interceptors, especially those Interceptors, that era, 1987 Interceptor was just God's motorcycle.
Absolutely the bike I would like to ride anywhere, except Alaska.
And so when I lived in Germany, I took a tour one time and I went on this thing called the Großglockner Alpenstraße. So the Großglockner Alpenstraße is literally a road that goes across the top of the Alps.
The Großglockner.
So it's like the big, right, exactly. So it's the big Glockner the Big Bell Alpenstraße. So it's this big road that goes across the Alps. And the company that I booked with, and mind you, I only had $1989 when that happened, which wasn't a lot of them because I was in the Army. And so, but this company gave us a discount for being in the military, and the motorcycle I got to use was an Interceptor 500.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I had bags on it, and we went across the Alps, and it was gorgeous. And I got to go to the Zugspitze in Austria. I got to go all these cool places on this awesome motorcycle.
That's definitely on my bucket list. Someday
Cutting
I would
edge.
like to do that.
It was amazing. And so when I was able to, and I had a full-time job and I was a police officer, I bought myself an Interceptor. Not a brand new Interceptor, but a 5-year-old Interceptor.
You were so impressed with the one you'd ridden over?
Yes, by all means. I must have an Interceptor. So I had this kick-ass Interceptor, and a buddy of mine who had a CBR, CBR, from that era. So also I think he had an 86 or maybe an 87 CBR. He was like, we should go to Alaska. And so then we found a guy that had an R80 GS, which is a BMW, and it's like the first of the ADV bikes.
None of these bikes are the bikes that I envisioned riding all the way to Alaska.
Well, back in 1993 or so, that R80 GS was like the cutting edge ADV bike.
Okay.
Like it was Starbucks before Starbucks was Starbucks. Like it was the bike. And so he had that, and he was like, yeah, I've done this before, you guys. He took us on like we were his fucking Padawans.
Okay.
Right? And so we were like, let's do it. Yeah, okay. What do we possibly need to ride to Alaska? A jacket would probably be a good idea.
Me, my bike, and a jacket.
Right, and that's kind of what we did. So it was that. I got a full face helmet, I had a good jacket, I had some different stuff with me.
No heated grips.
Oh, fuck no. Like that wouldn't, no. I don't think that even existed then. But anyway.
Maybe a pair of boots?
Well,
Your tanker boots.
Yeah, I had tanker boots. I had tanker boots. I had thermals on. I had all kinds of stuff. I had some Kadura nylon bags on the back. You know, I was fully set up for bear, as they say. And had I known what I was up for, I would not have even
literally bare.
Jesusly, it was a mess. So anyway, you know, it turns out to get to Alaska, you have to get to Seattle first.
Okay.
Yeah, turns out Seattle's really far from here. Really? Super duper far from here. You know how far it is? 2 tires.
Oh, 2 tires.
2 tires. 2 back tires. It's 2 back tires and 1 front tire away on an Interceptor.
Wow.
So I did. We made it to this BMW shop in Seattle area. Actually, it was more north of that. And this particular BMW shop, people were like, oh, and the guy that took us under his wing were like, you gotta stop at this shop because they know exactly what to do to set you up for the Alcan Highway. Now, here's a tip. First of all, if you have somebody that's willing to give you some information about going on the Alcan Highway all the way to Canada, all the way through Canada to Alaska, you pay fucking attention.
Absolutely.
And I did. So after lightening my wallet to the tune of 2 rear tires and having a brand new, beautiful Michelin on the back of my bike, gorgeous Michelin on the back of my bike, the guy was like, that tire won't make it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, like, that tire's not gonna make it. Huh? You're going on the Alcan Highway. It literally was Chiptar.
It's called a highway.
It's not a highway. Do you know what Chiptar is?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So,
I grew up in Pennsylvania. I know exactly what Chiptar is.
Chiptar is not asphalt and it is not concrete. Chiptar is what happens when you take basically the gravel equivalent of diamonds and you lay down tar and spray the gravel equivalent of diamonds on them. And it will cut through any known substance in about 7 minutes.
Too, because literally the little chips are the shape of somehow
they're crazy.
They're like shark teeth.
How are they always pointed up?
Yeah.
I don't know how they work that out. But half of the Alcan Highway was Chiptar, and half of the Alcan Highway was not. And the part that was not was kind of like pea gravel.
Mud.
It was garbage. It was never better than garbage. Now, I've heard on good authority that now it's been paved the entire way.
Oh.
So, whatever. Okay, so now my respect for people who do it goes way the hell down.
Pussies.
Yeah. So the guy comes in, I go into his shop, and he's like, you want a Cheng Shin. I didn't even know they made a Cheng Shin that fit on my Interceptor.
Trials.
He found one. This tire was so hard, a cat couldn't scratch it.
Yeah.
Like, this tire was concrete.
Seasoned 10 years.
He throws them up on the roof for 10 years, and then they're perfect for the Alcan. So I took my perfectly Michelin, I put it on the back of the bike, because I wasn't going to give it away. I just bought the damn thing in Denver.
Plus it's a spare.
It's a perfectly good spare. So off we fuck. So then I discovered black flies.
Oof.
Black flies are awful.
I'm very familiar with
Really,
those.
really awful. And it turns out that there are these truck stops on the Alcan Highway that are the only place you can stop because you need gas.
Yeah.
So what we were doing was to increase our likelihood of survival, we were changing motorcycles.
Sure.
So I would jump on the GS and then Scott would jump on the Interceptor and then, you know, we'd trade bikes around.
When you can't stand the bike you're riding on, 1 more mile,
yes,
let's rotate.
So every time we would put gas in the bike, we would change bikes. And it turned out that I could make my gas tank empty faster than Scott could make his CBR gas tank empty. And that was the trick, was empty the gas tank as fast as possible so you could change bikes more quickly, which makes life better. And you could have a sandwich or whatever. But very shortly after Washington State, we ran into black flies. And it turns out I did not know this about that part of the world, but there are 2 seasons, winter and black flies. So if you don't go in the wintertime, you're going in black fly season, and that's awful. And
mosquito bite? Not a problem.
No. Black flies literally cover your entire windshield in 1 second. Your visor on your helmet covered in 1 second. The system becomes, how do you scrape black flies off without, you know, not smearing it up to the point where you can't see anymore? It's fucking awful.
Did you get bit?
Well, that's if you stopped moving.
Oh, okay.
Right? Now, here's a trick. We were at a truck stop and the guy said, don't pee unless you're on a bridge. I'd never heard that before. That seemed strange to me. Don't pee unless you're on a bridge. I had no idea what that meant. But here we are, 3 of us riding north. And so we're cruising along as you do. And I managed to get to the front of the pack because here's the trick. When you're riding in a group, you normally stay to the back, let the guy who leads lead. Fuck that. We're going to Alaska. I'll know when I'm there when I run out of country. When the water is no longer on my left, I'll know we've arrived in Alaska. So I have to pee really desperately. So I go to a bridge and I stop halfway on the bridge.
If you're in front and you break down, they're going to catch up to you.
They're going to catch up to me.
If you're the guy in the back.
Exactly. And here the thing was, like, Scott's bike was technically faster than mine, but I was willing to take chances he wasn't. And I got to the middle of the bridge and I stopped, got off the bike, and I went to relieve myself, as you do. And then
you don't know why, but you're listening to the guy.
Well, look.
Take the advice you can get.
They told me about how like you can't go on the road unless you have a gun, at least 357 Magnum.
Whoosh.
So if you don't have a 357 Magnum, you're not allowed to go on the road.
Ooh.
Okay, now I'm paying attention. For truckers.
Yeah.
We're motorcycles. We're lightly armed. We're just snacks for the bears.
Nobody cares about you.
Nobody cares about us. So I pull off to the bridge on the side of the road, and I go up and I'm like, I wonder why they told us why we had to go on the side of the bridge, to pee in the middle of the bridge. And just as we said that, 2 bears lumbered up onto the end of the bridge. It turns out that's a genius tip. If you're on the bridge, you can see the wildlife coming to check you out. You have a long visual eye line to be like, oh, I'm peeing, but I can see the bear coming. If you're peeing on the regular side of the road, the bear just takes you.
Comes right out of the bush.
Just comes right out of the bush and takes you. And apparently there's a lot of bear. So I watched that and I was like a little freaked out, but I was okay. I had to pee. And off I fucked. And then we went to the next truck stop. We got to the next truck stop and they had these really awesome sandwiches. And the lady who served us the sandwiches said, don't take the sandwiches outside. You have to eat them in the building.
Oh, they call that something. It's called poot bait or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, so me being a dumbass, I was like, well, I gotta put gas in my bike and check it out, check the oil. I've got many things to do and I don't follow rules very well. So when she told me I had to eat my sandwiches inside, I didn't. I took it outside.
Yeah, I mean, really?
Yeah, I took it outside. You know what took my sandwich? Goddamn bald eagle. A bald eagle, our national bird.
Those are only in America. Oh, you were still in America?
Well, we were in Canada at the time, but we were getting very close to Alaska.
Okay, cool.
But the bald eagle came and took my right out of my hands. And you know what I'll tell you that most people don't know? Bald eagles are very big.
Did you sing the national anthem?
No, I shat myself twice. It's the size of a fucking pterodactyl.
I've seen them.
It's huge.
Yes.
Got all my sandwich. That was like an $11 sandwich back in the 90s.
You still had your hand.
Honestly. And what I didn't realize, then I looked over and I saw there were like 47 bald eagles hanging around the dumpsters. They were like a street gang.
Like buzzards.
They were like buzzards. It was terrible. So I lost my sandwich. I had to go buy another sandwich. I ate that one inside, of course. And then off we fucked again. And then we finally made it to Alaska.
You made it?
Yeah, we made it. We made it. And
what was your actual destination in Alaska? I mean, it's nice enough to say, I'm going to go to Alaska.
Oh, we thought we were going to go to Fairbanks, but
I'm assuming did you literally just go 1 mile across the border?
It felt that way. It really
Turn around and go back? Well, you've made it.
Well, but here's the crazy thing. I didn't know that a Pizza Hut pizza in Alaska was $61.
Oop.
I know, right? I learned all kinds of things about Alaska that I didn't know before. So it is true that you will learn cool shit about Alaska. And what was funny is once I got to Alaska.
But a beer at McDonald's in Germany is $1.
I could have gone back to Germany. I would have saved a ton of money. But here's what I learned about Alaska. As I met a guy up there who had a KLR 650.
Yeah.
In fact, I met 4,000 guys up there that have KLR
Everybody.
650s. I didn't know that KLR 650s were the motorcycle of Alaska.
Sure.
And it turns out that is what did it for me. So I did ride, I rode the VFR and 2 other bikes to Alaska. And then I did ride back from Alaska. But as soon as I got back, I sold my VFR and I bought a KLR. In case I ever had to go to Alaska again, in which I haven't gone to Alaska ever again. So It did work. It prevented me from going back to Alaska again.
I love my KLR.
Yeah.
I like it. I love it. I would never ride it to Alaska.
Honestly, it's too far, people. Like, keep in mind, the first part of our trip is longer or as long as the second part of the trip. And I can say that only 23-year-old me could go to Alaska. This 52-year-old version of myself could never do it.
I would need 3 different bikes. And so it was great that you were able to change.
Being able to change bikes is critical. It's the only thing that kept us
Even
sane.
Kevin and I did that when we were riding in California, because we did do like a 3-day thing.
Yeah.
And it was nice just to go from his FC09 to the F800 that I was on. Just being able to switch it up a little bit.
It makes a big difference. Yeah. And so that's my tip. 1, don't go in 1992 because the roads were chip-tarred. So if you have any idea of going to Alaska in 1992, don't do that. It will end poorly. But if you're going to go to Alaska, remember, you've got to have a bike that is very comfortable when you're sitting upright at 50 to 70 miles per hour. That's important. And the other thing would be, we cut milk jugs. We found 1-gallon milk jugs, and we cut them so they would be hand guards.
Yeah.
Because not for anything other than the black flies.
Yeah.
I got so many freaking flies up my sleeves.
Yeah.
We were taping every part of our clothes tight.
Well, isn't their bite really bad?
Their bite is awful.
Like, there's a mosquito bite, which is
maybe
a very little tiny thing. A black fly is a quarter size.
Black flies suck. It's enough of a reason to look. And I was told somebody was like, okay, in August, you can go to Alaska in August for this like week and a half and there's no black flies. Whatever, I'll take your word for it. I got screwed over on the black fly deal. And I'll never do it again just because of that. I will fly to Alaska and rent a motorcycle if I ever decide to do it again. And Alaska's beautiful country, don't get me wrong. But riding there is dumb. Riding cross country is dumb. All you do is pay for tires and you just sit there and you just hate life. So that's it. So that's my thing. You want to travel cross country, you want to travel to Alaska? Read a Rick Steves review instead. It's probably going to save you a lot of money.
Watch the video.
Watch the video, no shit. Okay, guys, and remember, thanks to that was another Moto Stories with Unkie Phil bringing in the Wayback Machine. You'll want to pay attention to these because sometimes they're better than others. Sometimes it might even be something you relate to. But if John's here, it's usually a good time.
Well, it was mostly painful.
Yes.
Was there one like redeeming moment, like where you were sitting there taking a piss and an albino elk came out? And
a piebald elk just rucked up and just was like, welcome to Alaska.
You saw your spirit animal, or you got in touch with your soul or anything?
No, dude.
No, it just sucked.
Dude, it just was a mountain
Dick in the dirt the
Honestly,
whole time.
It was awful. It was awful. I never, at any point in the trip, I never felt like, I met a friend of mine I was in the Army with. Like, we went up and I told the guy, I was like, how do you live here? And he was like, that's great, it's beautiful. And I was like, oh man, no, it just sucks. It's just awful. I didn't like it. It's not for me.
Okay.
Honestly, it's not my jam. And I'll do all kinds of crazy stuff, but it just wasn't for me. And you know what? Living there is probably great if I can fly in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but taking a motorcycle to
If you watch
Alaska,
the Discovery Channel, it looks fun.
Yeah. But just going straight for 50, 60, 70 miles an hour for a stupid long period of time? Nah, it's ice road trucker shit.
Yep.
Let them have it.
Nope.
Yeah, right on, man. I'm sorry, man.
And
I wish I could be a better tour guide for that, but it wasn't great.
I'm not surprised. Like I said, I'm not.
So I can't convince you to go next year?
Fuck no.
We'll just hang back and go down to Kentucky. It'll be great.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll take a bourbon train. It'll be awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
It'll be beautiful.
There's so many places way closer.
Way closer. All right, guys, have fun.